Thanks for that, Scott. I appreciate it.
Good morning, everyone. It's so good to see you on this Saturday morning, and I was really happy to wake up to some rain. We do need rain desperately. I know we live in California and we like the sun, but we need the rain. We all know that, right? And good news with the vaccine rollouts. Hopefully those of you who are able to get the vaccine, have your appointment or have the vaccine. That's great. I know I see some people raise their hand that they got it. That's good. Frankly, I have a little bit of vaccine envy. All my friends around me are telling me they're getting the vaccine, even though they're younger, because they're educators. So they have a priority now, which is the right way to go. But I must admit, I have envy over the vaccine. And I just heard that the Senate passed the relief bill. So we'll look for future details on what that means to the city as far as funds to help through the coronavirus, through the pandemic, and also rental assistance and other things. So the purpose, this is my office hours. I think this is, I don't know, 7 or 8 of these that I have done. I have decided to rotate them between every other Friday and Saturday so that those who aren't available during a Friday can join me on a Saturday, and to encourage more participation. So I hope that works for everyone. The purpose of office hours is just to have a conversation about what's on your mind. I have been posting themes and to sort of get you to think about how we can improve the quality of life, how issues that are important in District 9 and throughout the city of San Jose. So the theme this month or this week was on homelessness and solutions. And while many of you have talked to me about homelessness and issues and concerns, it is a huge sweeping issue that involves state, federal, local government, and the community to help us resolve. When I was running for office, when I was knocking on doors, people, that was an issue of concern to them, and a lot of people had ideas, and I had my own ideas. But when I got to City Hall, I found out it's just not that easy to implement those ideas. So there is a collaboration with the county. We're all working together to try to solve homelessness, but it is a systemic problem that needs to be resolved at all levels. So we're going to talk about that a little bit, but I also want to take your questions and your input. So the so if the I think I'll start off with a discussion around homelessness. So if you have any ideas, any thoughts, or if you have questions that you want to ask about any other area, I have all of my staff members are here. I have Scott Hughes, Michael Lomeo, Kyle Lavaroni, and Cameron Henkel. They're all here to answer any questions or to take notes on issues that you raise that we might not be able to answer here, that we'll be able to follow up with you later. So to that end, I'm going to turn it over to Michael for some ground rules.
Thanks, Councilmember, and hello, everybody. It's good to see you on this Saturday morning. To keep our office hours running in an orderly fashion, we are hoping everyone can keep their question or comments to about 1 minute. This way we can give everybody an opportunity to speak. So if you'd like to speak, we're asking you to raise your digital hand. And for the enjoyment of everybody for this meeting, we do reserve the right to remove individuals that overly abuse their time. So for computer users, you can raise your hand by clicking on the icon labeled participants at the bottom center of your PC or Mac screen. And at the bottom of the window on the right side of the screen, click the button labeled raise hand. If you are joining the webinar by phone, dial *9 to raise your hand. If you are unfamiliar with this process, I can also identify you if you chat me privately or raise your physical hand, and I'll just write your name down and let the council member know. We are recording this meeting so that we can follow up on any outstanding items, and may post to YouTube so that we can transcribe this meeting for folks that are hard of hearing or for folks that are missing this meeting entirely. And with that, I will hand it back to you, Councilmember.
Great, thank you. And we do want to hear from you, and We're not timing you, so it's kind of a soft 1 minute, but the reason we say 1 minute is so that we can get to everybody's questions, concerns, thoughts, comments, input, and let's try to be as constructive and ask a question that we might be able to respond to. This is an opportunity for us to hear what's on your mind, but also to work together to make District 9 and the city of San Jose a really positive, supportive place for all of our residents. So with that, I'm going to start with Martha O'Connell, because you just happen to be in my upper left corner and I see you there. So welcome, Martha.
Okay, thank you. I've got a type of question that I don't normally ask Pam. I usually ask the big issues. But as you know, as a council person, streets are important to a lot of people. Okay, there is a very dangerous situation on Navarrez Avenue. It is where Naomi Court, Naomi Court, cuts into Navarrez. It's the curve that it's a dangerous curve, and they've got a 30-mile-an-hour sign, which everybody ignores but me. But going around that curve, there is a huge pothole. And if you are if you have challenges driving at night, but you still have your driver's license, it's very difficult to see that because it's very black. The road is very black. And I'm just waiting for an accident. I'm waiting for somebody to go through there 50 miles an hour, hit that thing, and go onto the opposite side of the road. So if you guys could look into that, I would appreciate it very much. And that's my rather mundane issue for this office hour.
There's no mundane issue, but I'm going to address a couple other issues in a minute that you've raised before, Martha. But can you report that? Do you have the San Jose 311 app? You can report a pothole there and they'll go out and fix it. But we can, Kyle is on here and he's my DOT guy. He was here.
I'm here.
Oh, there you are. There you are.
So you want me to call 311?
Potholes are definitely, not insignificant. Yeah, I can report it for you if you're not familiar with the 311 application, but Scott Hughes actually just put a link in the chat to where you can report any potholes, vehicle or graffiti, stuff like that.
Okay, all right, I'll do it, and then I'll wait 10 years for a response. I just wanted to put it into this meeting because it's taped and people can have the evidence that I brought it up. So I will do that. Thanks, guys.
So now it's on our radar, and we'll look into it for you, but report it. And then what will be good for us is to see how quickly they respond. So let us know so we can track it and follow up.
All right, doing that right now. Thanks.
The other thing I wanted you to know, because you've raised this question a couple of times, and I ask it every time we have a report from our EOC, our Emergency Operations Center, regarding vaccines for those people who cannot get out of their house. The county is aware of the issue and is working on a plan. And I've said this to you before, they still do not have a plan. So I ask it every time. Want you to know it's on my radar, and then we'll follow up with you on that. And then also regarding rental assistance for one of the ways we're addressing homelessness is by helping people from becoming homeless in the first place. And those are people who maybe not be able to pay their rent because of lack of employment due to COVID. But the governor and federal package, not this one, but the one before actually, provided us with lots of funds to assist those with back rent and also current rent. And as this relates to mobile home owners, there are funds available to help pay your rent for your space. Don't know how that's rolling out. There is at the city council meeting on Tuesday that will be presented. So if rental assistance is of interest to you, maybe you're a landlord or you're a renter or you know someone who is a renter, you might want to pay attention to that. And Martha and Gail, I know you both live in mobile homes. You might want to pay attention to the mobile home component.
Okay, I got an email that has been deferred to the 23rd,
Oh,
but
so see, you have more information than I
Well,
do.
that could be
The
wrong.
20, and you know, the reason for that, actually, it was supposed to be last week and it's been deferred, my mistake. But it's really complicated. All of the funding, we're getting funding through, it's some county funds, it's state funds, it's federal funds. It's a lot of money, but we have to figure out how we're going to able to deploy it. And some of it is paying back rent for landlords. If there's all these agreements and documents that have to be put in place. So it is a complicated matter. Okay, next, and thank you, Martha. Next is Rebecca Haggerty.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hey, good morning. Thank you for thinking of the topic of homelessness. I thought it would be helpful, at least for me, to hear more about the causes of homelessness in the population. I mean, I think the people we see on the street is only part of that population. And I know that that would be helpful. So that's my question for today.
Okay, that's a really good question. There are, and Gail is a homeless advocate, so she may have the statistics a little bit more, and Michael is my staff person who deals with it. But let me say that there's a lot of different causes. There's not one cause. There's drug and alcohol abuse. There's mental health issues. There's financial issues. There's domestic violence that forces women out of their homes. There's members of the LGBT community and transgender population who have been kicked out of their homes. And then there are children who are couch surfing or living in cars so there's a lot. Rebecca, it's a really good question. There's not one answer. So that's why the problem is so difficult to solve, because it involves a lot of services and resources, and it's not just a house, is not just one of the resources. Some of the resources are mental health support, drug and alcohol support, interventions, and those are all available through the county. We can provide the housing and trash pickup and things like that, and providing services such as porta potties and cleaning facilities at various encampments. But it's not an easy problem to answer, to say that. Does that help?
That does. I was thinking it was multifaceted, and it's nice to hear such a good synopsis.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, going to the next question. And Rebecca, after that, and after I answered the next question, let's have a conversation around homelessness, and maybe talk about your thoughts on solutions and how we might address it. And I'll tell you some of the things we're working on at our council office to let you know how we're thinking about it. So I'm going to go to the phone number 5140. What's your question? Michael.
Yeah, my question is, why are we focusing so much on homeless people when we have so many other issues to deal with, like the potholes? That woman, she's tried everything she could to get the pothole fixed, but there's not enough money. And one reason why there's not enough money is Sergeant Conley was on the other day.
Is there a question here, Michael?
Yeah, the question is, why don't we have the money? You know why we don't have the money? Because Sergeant Conley makes $427,000 a year. That's why.
Okay, Michael.
Why are we so short of?
Michael, we have funds that are designated from the county and the state and our own local and federal funds to help address homelessness. Regarding the potholes, Ms. O'Connell was not saying she didn't have the problem fixed. She wanted to know how to solve it. It wasn't that they haven't been out there yet. There are a different pot of money that fixes potholes, and it's not the pot that addresses homelessness. So the purpose of this meeting is to have a constructive conversation and frankly, to hear the same old story from you. So I'm going to go to actually Marie. I saw Marie, and then Gail to you.
It's not the same.
Marie, I have a question or comment. Marie Berg.
Sorry, I
There you
hadn't
go.
unmuted. Sorry.
There you go. No, I do that all the time.
Okay, so my question is, first of all, do you know how much the city of San Jose and the county of Santa Clara spend on the homeless problem? Like not last year maybe because that was a pandemic, but the year prior, or in general, how much money is being spent by the city and the county on the homeless?
Lots of money, Marie, and it gets allocated in various ways. Some of the ways, so I'm not dodging the question. I'll give you a rough number late in a few minutes, but some of the ways are providing immediate shelter for the unhoused and so those are shelter beds. Then there's transitional housing, tiny homes, places that they can move in temporarily that is the city takes care of. Also, the county has their programs too. Then we have hotel vouchers that we provide to unhoused so they can live in a hotel environment. And that's through a project, Homekey. Thank you, Homekey. And that was a state project or program established with the pandemic or the beginning of the pandemic, which we continue to provide vouchers. And then we purchased a hotel recently, a 77-unit hotel that we are housing unhoused individuals as well. So those are some of the areas. Other things we do is provide overnight warming locations. These are current San Jose properties or county properties where people can go to spend the night and get out of the elements. So that's just a few of the things. Then, so through Measure A several years ago, 2016, no, 2016, we passed a bond through the state, through the county, that over $2 billion has been deployed. And a part of that is to build housing. Some of that is to provide services. So that's the count. There's a county pot, there's a state pot, and the money and the federal pot. And so all in total, it's, probably total, if I figured it out, a couple $2 billion easily, but it could be more than that. Does that give you an idea?
Yes, that gives me an idea. So my follow-up question to that is, in every city and county, they're spending a ton of money on the homeless, but it just gets worse and worse. So my question is, we're kind of keep doing the same thing with terrible results. I think now I'm excluding domestic violence victims and families who recently have become homeless, but I think from what I see, the majority of homeless are men who probably have mental illness and or drug and alcohol issues. So until that is treated, those people are not able to care for themselves. So why are they just being set up in hotel rooms or whatever? They need to be, excuse my French, institutionalized in a place where they can be helped, get rid of their drug and alcohol addictions, be treated for mental illness. Personally, I think it's cruel to see all these people out on the street forever. I mean,
Yeah.
they need, medicine, they need counseling. And I just think it's really sad that we keep spending more and more money, but getting no better results or worse results. So that's my comment.
Yeah, I hear you, Marie, and I'm going to turn to Michael in just a minute, but I wanted to say that we cannot force anyone to accept services from us. We cannot, and we're not abating, which means closing down homeless encampments right now. I mean, we are to some degree, but we're not as we were before. We're only if it's a public right of way and a health and safety issue. So this is why I wanted to have the conversation, Marie, because it is a huge problem, and some of it is mental health, some of it is drug addiction, drug and alcohol addiction, as I mentioned before. and there are not enough resources. Those resources are available through the county. That's who provides that. And we can't just pick up our homeless and put them somewhere. So we also can't force people into a hotel or into a homeless shelter. So, and Michael, do you want to answer that more in detail for us?
Yeah, I would probably just add that, Marie, you're super right. The problem's gotten really, really bad. And it's almost a conversation you have with basically everybody in the Bay Area, whether you're in San Francisco or Oakland or San Jose. And I think part of the problem is that we began tackling the challenge too late, right? So we didn't pass the county bond for $1 billion till 2016. We didn't pass Measure E, which is San Jose's tax measure to raise about $30 to $70 million a year, until just last year. And our primary strategy is to build housing and then provide what I think your goal would be in an institution, Marie, which is to provide like mental health services, because all of the housing that we're building that's extremely low income, which is people making below $30,000 a year, is going to have wraparound services. So they're going to have a psychologist there. They're going to have folks that are working with formerly unhoused people on their resumes. They're going to have people that are best suited to work with formerly unhoused people, which obviously is not easy. And that's the hardest of the population to actually house. But after you pass a tax or you receive funding, then you have to go and find the land to build. And then you have to ensure that all these different mechanisms to fund that project, which it doesn't just come from one pot. It won't just come from the city. It won't just come from the county. It'll come from possibly 7 to 8 different areas to actually build a low income housing project, because nobody wants to fund that all in themselves, because it is a systemic issue. And so therefore everybody has the mentality that we need to have the entire system come together to fund these solutions to this challenge. And so by the time you acquire the land, you get the financing, you contract with the developer, and then you get the keys to unlock the door to this low income housing project, it can take about 4 to 6 years to do that. And so even though that we passed the bond in 2016, we're just beginning to have housing come online in the city of San Jose and throughout Santa Clara County. And so in my opinion, we're too little too late kind of a thing. But now we do have all this housing, and we're going to have to see how that works out. But I think you brought up a fair point, Marie. So thank you.
Yeah. And one of the things we're looking at is at my council office, we do priority setting. And one of the priority items we highlighted, and we hope our fellow council members will support it, is to look at publicly owned land that isn't being utilized for anything else, that might be able to be used for a quote unquote sanctioned encampment. And it would be something that's in a location that we can provide services, that we can, and by services, I mean toilets, cleaning stations, trash pickup, things like that, and also on-site social services, therapists, et cetera, to help them deal with the systemic underlying issues of homelessness. But then there's also the job training that it needs to be done and has to be done as well. So that's why I wanted to have this conversation, because you may have some ideas out there that we're not thinking about, and just know it's an issue that we hear comments from our residents all the time. So we, as an office, spend a lot of hours on it, and addressing individuals who are unhoused with respect and humanity is important. Dealing with our resources effectively is also important, our limited resources. What I've learned on council is there's a lot of money, and we're all trying to get our hands around the addressing homelessness, and it's just not easy. But I'm going to go, so a lot of good hands. So I'm going to go to Gail, and then Amal, and then Stacy.
Morning, Pam.
Hi.
Thank you. First of all, I just want to say, not all unhoused folks are mentally ill and have drug and alcohol problems. I know hundreds and hundreds that don't. Secondly, I think taking care of folks is a little bit more important than a pothole on Narvez where I live. So, I think we need to do a lot more, but I'm all in favor of sanctioned encampments. And I've been looking around for a place in D9. So Pam, I love that smile you put on your face. Thank you.
I have a place too in mind, but I'm not going to say it out loud right now.
No, let's not. I'm not either. So if you have yours and I have mine, are you willing to have a sanctioned encampment in D9?
I put it out there because I have a solution for where it could go. Yes.
Okay, good. That's all
Yeah. It won't. Staff and city staff, not my staff, city staff and the fellow council has to decide it's a priority. And I know it is a priority because 2 other council members have similar ideas of quote unquote sanctioned encampments. I know people don't like that terminology, but it really just describes it the best way. And one of the things we're looking at is moving them away from very environmentally sensitive areas like our creeks. It's really important that we remove that we protect the environment of our creeks, our waterways, but we need an alternate place to relocate them to. So that's what we can talk offline, Gail, unless you want to have anything else you want to say.
So when you say city staff, is that housing or who is city staff you're talking with?
They all take direction from council, so it has to be a priority yet. And when they tried to do it, as you know, a few years ago, actually Deb Davis tried to have a sanctioned encampment in her district, I think in 2019. She got pretty much beat up about it. So that left a lot of negative feelings. So we have to get past that. It's a different problem today though. Different, yes. More of aware with the pandemic, much bigger awareness.
Thank you.
And one thing that we haven't touched on, council member, is your willingness to actually provide during this pandemic, provide a shelter over several families' head by allowing individuals or homeless families, unhoused families, to take up residency for a temporary period of time at the Camden Community Center. And that was solely you offering that up. In regard to potholes versus unhoused, I'd like to give city staff a lot more credit, and they can deal with more than one thing at a time. One being DOT, the other one being housing. And I certainly don't want to discount a pothole that could create an accident and possibly injure or kill someone. So I think that we all have important issues here. Otherwise, you wouldn't be taking time out of your Saturday to spend this time here. And we all really appreciate that. But in regard to your pothole there, Martha, they're usually pretty quick. I actually reported one in front of a driveway the other day, and they had it fixed the same day. I can't guarantee that service, but it will probably, if you report it, it'll probably be fixed by Wednesday. And if it's not, please give me a ring. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Stacy and then Amal.
Hi, I guess I wanted to speak on regards to business owners and property owners. We have had crazy things happen with the homeless and kind of no help until they went to burn down our building. And then finally the police and the fire department came out to wash it down because it was doused with gasoline. But prior to that, I mean, we have a business that it's just females and they invaded it and threaten and she's calling 911, I'm calling 911, and then you have to be on the stop program, and then you're on the stop program, and then they still won't come out. And it just took, I mean, does it take for somebody to get killed for somebody to really pay attention to the dangerous things that are happening? I just got threatened with a knife and to get stabbed just because I asked them to move away from the front door.
Stacy,
It's just-
that is horrible.
Yeah, it's really
and
bad.
now I'm really worried for you and your staff. What business do you have?
I'm actually the landlord. The staff is a spa. It's over on Fruitdale, Dale and Meridian, and constantly she never knows what she's going to walk into, whether it be the parking lot trashed with garbage, with feces smeared everywhere, barbecues, drugs. You know, we've put up fences, we've put up barbed wire, we've put cameras, we've put spotlights. And that's just one of the businesses. Another business, they're stealing our wires, their wires. They're, you know, it's just, it's costing us more money and it's threatening our safety. And we've like, you know, she's really active, Maya, in regards to asking for help and what else can we do? Because I mean, it's getting really bad. And I mean, people are filled for their life. She's having people quit her salon because they're scared to come to work.
Sure, and I imagine as she opens up, so are her.
Yeah, she keeps her doors
clientele.
locked and the customers call and then she'll open to let them in because it's just too dangerous.
So Stacy, I'd like to actually take this conversation offline because your property is in District 6. And we work really hard to help those in District 9, but we can communicate with Councilmember Davis's office and start the communication because really that's who can be your advocate over there. We can try, but it's easier to get the council member who represents the district involved. So maybe we could get your information and then we can reach out to you and put you in touch with the District 6 office. But that's really a frightening situation. I have a small business too on Meridian and Hamilton. We rent the property, but every so often there's someone blocking a door and we can't get in. And I worry, we have mostly a female staff too. And I worry about that. So the safety of your tenants is most important. The safety of their clients are most important, and they're going to move on if they can't get the protections that they need at the building. So let's communicate and put you in touch with District 6. I don't mean to pass the ball. I'm not, please don't think I'm passing the ball.
No, just wherever I need to go. I mean, whatever help you can give, it's really appreciated.
Very good. Thank you for raising that. Amal.
Hi, thanks. So what I was going to say, some people already said. So what Stacy said, I have personal experience similar to that. Not that serious, but I used to work in downtown and stopped working there because I got tired of essentially stepping over homeless people, sleeping in the doorway of my building. So that's one. I mean, the gentleman who said why we should handle this problem or treat, there is obvious moral reason which everybody knows, but then there are all these practical reasons. And then my son also, we went to one public bathroom on Bascom, and there were needles floating in the toilet, a bottle of vodka on the changing table. It was just, if we let the problem fester, it's going to affect all of us and essentially turn the city into a blighted place, right? So that's the why part. And then from solution perspective, I don't know which solutions you have already explored, but these are what I would like to explore is, we are a very expensive place to live. So have we considered resettling people in cheaper places where maybe it doesn't cost $2,000 to rent a studio, and the homeless who are functional homeless, who are not drug addicts, who are just homeless because they're not making enough money to live here? Have we considered relocating, helping them relocate to a place where they can live with dignity with the money that they have, plus some help maybe?
Well, that's a real interesting question, and I would say that um, that's probably not a solution. And because the reason it is that most of the homeless, and Gail would know this, is that they live in places that are close to where they were raised. So for example, we have some unhoused folks in the Cambrian area who grew up in that area. So their support system may still exist there to some degree, but they've maybe burned the bridges with their family. So they stay around where they're comfortable. We hear stories where, and this is, no, I'm not even going to say it because it's just a story. It's not even accurate, but where other jurisdictions pick up homeless and drop them off in San Jose. I don't know that that's accurate. I doubt that's accurate. We just need to, it's an interesting concept. I'd have a hard time supporting that because I think they want to live, they're here for lots of different reasons. Some of them were born and raised here. Some came into poverty because it was too high cost to live here. One solution I will offer is building more housing. Building more affordable housing. We have two big projects in one, one's closer to being presented than the other, but they're both in District 9 that could house, it's affordable housing, so it's not specifically targeting the unhoused population, but the more housing we build frees up other housing. That's one way to decrease the high cost of housing, is to build more housing along transit corridors in urban villages where we have transportation that can handle the higher density. So that's the solution, but you know, a lot of our neighbors don't want big tall buildings around them either. So it's working with the neighborhood and getting people to agree to a large development. But that's one solution, is building more housing. And by the way, for the housing we build, developers are required to pay into an affordable housing fund, or they're required to build affordable housing in their project. So we also need to encourage that they build more housing for the affordable population rather than just buy it out. And affordable, by the way, means for a four-person household, 80% AMI, that's average median income, is the equivalent of 2 teacher salaries. So when you hear affordable, that's really 2 teachers, that's 2 nurses, that's 2 medium level service providers.
What would be that? What would be that in dollar terms? Like what do we consider affordable in our area?
108,000. 108,000 combined income for a family of 4. That's based on a federal calculation.
But so here is I don't know the details of the statistics here, and somebody asked that. I would love to get that offline. How many homeless people do we have? And the ones that we see, they're nowhere. It doesn't seem like they're anywhere close to earning anywhere near 100. I mean, 108,000 is a lot of money.
Oh, absolutely. But
going from, I think we should take a holistic approach with the goal of reintegrating people who are completely off their feet into the society. And going from homeless to minimum wage is like $30,000.
Right.
So somebody making minimum wage is not going to be able to afford any of those affordable houses, right? It's 4 times that much, 3 times that much. So going from homeless to affordable housing itself seems like a very big jump.
It is, and there are actually phases. There's supportive housing, which is for unhoused folks to move into supportive housing. And with that, includes wraparound services to assist them. And then that's what I would consider very low income. Then there's also low income and affordable. And some development projects have all three tiers of housing available. We have one project in District 9 that will have, once it's built, will have supportive housing is what they call it for recently unhoused or unhoused folks. Then there's low income, and then there's affordable income. So there's three tiers in that particular project. So Amal, I really appreciate your questions. We can get you any, Michael has put in the chat box information regarding the plan with Destination Homes, who is a partner in dealing with homelessness, that they might be able to answer your questions. But I want to get to other comments right now. And this is really a good conversation. I really appreciate this. And Amal, I'm not discounting your relocation. I'm just not sure it's workable, but I appreciate you being creative and thinking out of the box about it. Okay, next is Craig, then the Sanders. Craig, you have the floor. There you go.
Sorry about that. I was on the mute. Can you hear me? Yeah, I have a quick question. You kind of addressed it already. And that there's 2 low-income housing projects scheduled to go in an area near my neighborhood. I'm a resident as well as a landowner. One thing I'm curious, or I'm kind of concerned about, is my home value as well as my rental value. Are those both going to take a dip? My second concern is, what about traffic? You know, more people, is that more traffic? And are there plans that are being worked on in the interim?
Craig, where do you live? Just to
I
get
live
an idea
in
which project we're talking
95118
about.
zip code.
No, more specific
Chuck E.
than that,
Cheese.
to give me an idea of where you live in relation to which project.
The Chuck E. Cheese located on Cooser,
Okay,
and the fish market located on Blossom Hill Drive.
okay, those are
Blossom
the,
Valley, sorry.
yeah, those are two.
No, Blossom Hill. Blossom Hill.
Yeah, speaking specifically, Chuck E. Cheese isn't that close yet. I know it's been out there that people are talking about it, but it's not yet moving through the process. But the fish market is. The fish market is actually the perfect location for a development of, and this is they're calling it an affordable housing project. And the reason that area is important is because it's close to services, right across from Oak Ridge Mall, right on Blossom Hill Road. Light rail is right there. There's not a lot of single-story residential housing nearby. It's surrounded by commercial. That's a good location. I'm glad to see that spot may be utilized to its highest potential. As far as affecting your property values, it really depends. I'm in that business, but I'm not going to venture whether it's going to affect it positively or negatively. Anytime you're under construction, it's probably going to affect it negatively during the construction phase. But then when the project is up and running and you see a beautiful building that's functioning, it may increase it. But I don't know. It really depends. Single family, commercial property, etc. There's a lot of different variables. But as I said, the Chuck E. Cheese project is not as close as coming online as the fish market is. But we will keep you posted. We will have community meetings, lots of community meetings as it relates to the fish market and as it relates to Chuck E. Cheese if that comes to fruition. And so I know it's out there, but it's not close to coming to fruition yet. So, but I know that neighborhood well. I know if you live there, I know it really well. One of my best friends used to live there. So I know that neighborhood, and shoot, who hasn't been to Chuck E. Cheese's with their kids or as children? So I appreciate your concerns, and maybe Craig, if you haven't signed up for our newsletter, you can sign up for our newsletter and you'll get information about these projects as they come online or as we have community meetings. And I hope that addresses your questions. Next are the Sanders.
With us, you get 2 for 1.
I know. I didn't know who was going to ask the question.
Actually, both of us.
Okay.
I actually was going to talk about what Craig just talked about and asking you about those 2 locations. I didn't even know if the fish market was in your district or not.
It is.
Okay. All right.
Across the street, it isn't. Oak Ridge isn't, but that is.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So that kind of answers that question. And I know we're talking about homelessness, but one of the things that I was questioning about the Cambrian Plaza was people were asking if some of the stores that are currently there, are they going to have an opportunity to still open up in that complex?
Really good question. And there's, we all have our favorites, right? Who doesn't love the Heartbeat Cafe? And I love the Cottage Craft Boutique as well.
Yes.
The developer has not made that decision yet. We have discussed that, and we will have a community meeting that we just had a community meeting that discussed the public spaces, the parks, and that sort of thing. We're going to have another community meeting that will discuss traffic, mitigation, other issues. We're also going to have a meeting that discusses things like that, like the retail mix, restaurants, commercial, who you'd like to see. And in that meeting on Wednesday, several people posted in the chat box that they want to see Heartbeat. I saw Cottage Crafts. There are a lot of really favorite stores there. And like I said, some of my favorite places are there. So I hope they get an opportunity to stay there. That would be great. I know they want to. Okay. I know the Heartbeat for sure wants to. So thank you for asking that. I appreciate it. But watch for those community meetings. We will have more, probably 2, maybe 3 more in the coming months. The next one won't be for a couple of months because we're waiting for the CEQA study to address probably the issues that's top on everybody's mind, which is traffic, mitigation, building height, water, infrastructure.
Yeah, I know there's a lot,
shade, those sort of things, and those are the issues we hear a lot about, and potentially the areas with most controversy. So we will definitely have a meeting that addresses that, and it may be the next one, but it really depends on when the CEQA study is available, because we'll want to be thoughtful about that.
Okay, thanks. I appreciate that. I think Rich has a quick question too.
So,
okay, Rich.
A certain percentage of our homeless are mobile. They sleep in their cars or some other vehicle. Does San Jose have a safe parking program? Do we provide anybody that is mobile with maybe a shower and a toilet?
We do have 2, I believe, safe parking programs. One is in District 3. Is it at the Roosevelt Center? And I think the other is in District 7. And yeah, they have bathroom facilities through, because these are community centers, so they have access to the facilities there. There was an additional a pilot program that didn't work out very well. We might have moved the one in District 7 because of the location. It was near a school, and there was a problem with that. And this was pre-pandemic, so little kids were walking to school, and it was not parents were not feeling safe. But yes, there are 2 projects. I've actually approached some of the churches in our district to see if they might be willing to house people who have vehicles in their parking lots, because you need a certain amount of space for that to occur. We do have setback requirements, distances from surrounding neighborhoods. So if anyone knows of any parking lots or knows people who might have parking lots of interest that might work, let us know and we'll see what we'll talk to the owners about it. But churches seem a natural place. I didn't get any of them to jump at the chance. The couple I talked to felt that it might be difficult for the neighbors. So we
Do you have any idea of what percentage of our homeless population is mobile?
I do not. Michael, do you have that number?
I don't know, unfortunately. And, we do a point in time count every 2 years to track how many homeless individuals are living within the city of San Jose and within Santa Clara County. And unfortunately, this year we were not able to do that because of COVID. So hopefully that'll be coming up in maybe a matter of months potentially. And so we might have more new information then.
All right, thank you for your comments.
Great, thank you. So we have about 8 minutes. Anyone have anything else that they would like to say? I see some new faces on here so that's good. One question I have for you, just a straw poll. Are these office hours, do they work for you? Do you like to see them? Should we continue them every other week? Just raise your hand if you think, or shake your head and I'll get an idea of whether you think that's a good idea. Also, do you like the idea of throwing out a topic of discussion? The reason we did that is to try and get people to come who might be interested in the topic instead of just throwing out office hours, because you're not going to come to office hours unless you have something you want to say. So do you like the idea of us posing a topic? And I have to say, when we threw out the question about homelessness, we knew that it would generate a response. And I'm so glad that you're here with this thoughtful conversation. It's really important.
So I'll chime in quickly. I think you need to have both. You need to have certain meetings where, basically any topic it's open for any topic. But I do like a focused topic. Today was important to us to come and listen to this.
Great, thank you. That's good to know. So maybe we'll have a topic every other meeting or so. And Linda Rice, I saw you raise your hand and then oh, there you are. Okay. Linda, you have a comment? Whoops, where'd you go? There you are. Linda, unmute yourself. Linda? Okay, Linda, I'm going to come back to you and I'm going to go to David. David, welcome. You're new to my meeting. Glad you could join us.
Thank you. And I should say I live in District 10, but just on the other side of the border. So
that's all right. We welcome you.
Yes.
There's no boundaries in virtual meetings.
And I think we all care about this issue very much. I did want to offer that down in District 10, there's a county-owned parking lot that across from the Safeway at Almaden Expressway and Camden. And so, I think it would be a good location if we decide to have some sort of sanctioned encampment. It's county owned, and I don't know, it's come up before. I don't know what the county's concerns are about it, but that might be an opportunity. I did want to point out, I'm sorry I'm joining late, so I've missed a lot of the conversation, but I know that there's a priority session session on the 15th, yep. I believe it is. And Councilmember Mahan has suggested that we, prioritize a larger comprehensive view of homeless encampments, and that could be something that people might want to support. Now, I know the practical realities are with COVID and the situation that very few new priorities are going to be able to make it. And I apologize, I don't know exactly what has been your top of mind. So, I don't mean to be undercutting you there, but I thought I should mention that.
Yeah. you're actually not undercutting me. He and I have a very similar priority item in that regard. Mine was to establish, and we didn't use this term because it's a loaded term, is sanctioned encampments, and using public land to set up an encampment where we could move unhoused from environmentally sensitive areas. So that's one of our focuses. And his priority item is very similar to my priority item. And I was hoping they might get merged and that we could only have to vote on one item because they are very similar. And he and I are, we didn't discuss this ahead of time, but we're in the same page for this. So I thank you.
Very good.
Go ahead.
Well, this is a little tangential, but I know that the city's looking at opportunity housing, and there's different, that means different things to different folks. I want to suggest that we really try to focus on those transit villages first before we consider opportunity housing out in the rest of, what is really a very sprawling city. Primarily for climate reasons is my concern. But you'll be hearing more about that, but I just wanted to get you started there with that thought.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you know my views on opportunity housing, but I believe we really need to work on building out our urban villages first and creating plans for our urban villages because of the transit component of the urban villages. And so I'm not, I was on the general plan task force when we voted on opportunity housing, and I was one of a few that voted no. So that's where we are now. It will come back to us for council. For those of you who are concerned about opportunity housing, it's not coming to us for a while, but watch our newsletter and we will give you a heads up if that's a concern to you or an issue. We have just a couple of minutes. I really appreciate you all participating. And while I throw out a question, you are always welcome to ask a question or offer a comment in any areas that we need to, that are of concerns to you. I want to let you know our next office hours will be the 19th. That's a Friday from 9:30 to 10:30. We also have a town hall. A town hall is a more focused meeting in the evening where we have a guest speaker. This time our guest speaker is he on Department of Transportation?
Yeah, Ramses Madu.
And we're going to talk about?
We're going to talk about transportation in District 9 and what the plans are for the future, potholes, bike lanes, everything you can think of.
Wonderful. So come to that. That'll be on the 25th from 6:30 to 7:30, I believe. And then we have another community meeting coming up on March 15th to discuss a traffic mitigation on Hillsdale, to establish bike lanes, protected bike lanes, and other build outs. Kyle, do you want to talk about that meeting briefly?
Yeah, so it's on March 15th. We're very excited about the changes coming to Hillsdale. DOT has done some preliminary design and they're excited to present it to the community. So we'll be discussing the design, getting input from the community, and yeah, excited for the changes coming to Hillsdale.
Yeah, very, very exciting. We got some grant money to do some work there. Also in the chat box, I see that my staff is posting really good information. If you want pavement maintenance information, there's a link there. There's information about homelessness through Destination Homes. So if you have not signed up for my newsletter, please sign up for it. And you'll get not just the newsletter, but we send out notifications periodically. I know everybody's tuned into the COVID news, so we early on we were pushing that information out as much as we possibly could, and we still are, because it's hopefully majority of us will be vaccinated and things will change for us in the next few months. But until then, we'll just continue to wear our masks and be safe and support our small businesses. So with that, I really, really thank you for spending your morning with me. It's was really good information. I love the conversation. I love the questions and the input. Thank you all for being here, and please have a wonderful weekend. Please be safe. Take care of those around you. And if there are people around you who need help, please reach out or let us know and we'll do what we can to help them. Thank you very much. Take care.